Hi, welcome to this week's Vinyasa class. My name is MJ and we need an area that we can practice in. You don't need a mat, just a non-stick surface, 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, something that may resemble them. And then if you have a blanket and a bolster, you can always use a pillow or a cushion. And let's set the blocks up in a capital T. We're going to lie back on them. If this is not okay for your spine, then you can just lie on the ground, but move into a full butterfly. Your bum should be on the ground, 1 block in the upper spine and 1 block under the head. You can always turn the blocks a bit taller if you'd like to lift the body up a little higher. And if it's okay for the shoulders, bring the arms out wide, palms face up. And the soles of the feet are together. Feet can come in closer to the groin or further away, whatever feels best for the body. As you lay here, just start to notice the breath. As you're breathing in and out, how easily is the breath moving in and out? How connected to the breath are you? Are there any thoughts that jump into the mind? You are welcome to bring the arms back behind you. If you're placing one palm on top of the other, take a couple of breaths before putting the opposite palm on top. Think of allowing the front of the chest to open, the underarms, the side waist, with the knees open wide from the groin to the inner knees opening out and relaxing. As you're ready, bring the arms down by your side, guide the feet flat to the ground, knees towards one another, and roll off the blocks, removing them, and then coming to lie on your back again. Once on your back, bring the soles of the feet flat to the ground with the knees bent. Walk the feet wide, let the inner knees rest together. Then the arms again wherever it feels good. You can always walk the feet a little wider if that's comfortable. Notice how it feels left and right side of the pelvis. If one side's a little heavier, maybe one side feels like there's more surface area against the mat. And just observe, how do the feet feel? They feel even left and right. If you need to bring them closer in or further out, you can. Maybe even turn the toes in slightly. As you're ready, bring the arms back down by your side, feet about to hip width position, knees about the same. Bring the knees in towards the chest and pull the knees open wide towards the underarms. We'll take a passive happy baby so you can hold the front of the shins or the back of the knees. And press the front of the pelvis forwards. Keep the spine nice and long. Whenever you're on your back, make sure that the upper neck has space, that it's not being compressed into the ground. You may need to lift the chin. If you have the space, move into a full happy baby. You might grab the outside of the feet or the big toes with the peace fingers. Again, the back of the pelvis pushes forwards and down. Keep the left hand on the left leg and bring the right arm just under the inside of the right knee and reaching out to the right side. The hand back to the right foot. And same with the left side. Bring the left arm inside the left thigh. Keep pulling the outer hips down towards the ground. Keep them even. And then bring the left hand back to the left foot. Now, full happy baby. Keep the spine long. And then release the knees to the chest. You're welcome here to rock side to side. And hold the back of the knees, creating a nice rounded low spine, mid spine, rocking backwards and forwards onto the shoulders, onto the pelvis. A couple of times. Feel the rib cage pull in, the navel pull in, to bring yourself all the way up to a tabletop position. And have the blocks at the top of the mat. If you need to pad the knees, you can put a blanket underneath the knees or anything else that you may have at home that could support it. Hands and knees, hands about shoulder width, knees are about hip width position. The fingers can be spread wide or closer together, what feels most comfortable for the hands. And then you may need to turn the fingers forwards or out, whatever does feel, again, good for the wrists. And take some movement here as you exhale, cat pose, rounding the spine. Inhale for cow, lift the chest up. Take anything organic, anything that might feel really good for you. Maybe changing where the palms are, Turning the fingers back, flipping the hands up, maybe rolling the spine. You can always do this one hand at a time. Maybe bringing the hips all the way back to the heels. But just moving to what's going to help your body. Then bring the palms flat to the ground, fingers pointing forwards again, and start to contain the body. So wrap the ribs in, really feel the outer hips hug in, tuck the toes and hover the knees, hovering tabletop. So keeping the spine neutral, so we really feel the rib cage pull up and in, the outer hips still hug, the triceps hug in, and we'll release the knees back to the ground or the blanket. And supporting the left outer hip, pull the right knee into the right tricep, keep the pelvis lifted back, open the knee out like you're peeing on a fire hydrant, and then bring the foot back, lifting the foot up but keeping the knee open out to the side. And now we close the knee, still keeping the foot up towards the ceiling. Bring the knee again back to the right tricep, it doesn't have to touch, keep the ribs in, knee out to the fire hydrant, foot back and up, knee stays open, and then knee points to the ground, foot up to the sky. One more time, knee to the tricep, and now we'll reverse it. Knee comes back and up, foot up to the sky, turn on the glute, open the knee out to the side, keep the foot lifted, and then the fire hydrant, knee out to the side, knee to the tricep. One more time, foot up to the sky, knee opens, foot stays lifted, knee comes out in line with the hip, lift the inner knee, and now bring the knee to the tricep, lower the knees to the ground, child's pose. Big toes come to touch, knees are open wide. Extend the chest forwards, reach the arms forwards. Feel the hips reach back and down, and keep the front of the spine nice and long. Now taking the arms as far as they can go, over to the left hand side. Press the hips back and down towards the right heel. Keep reaching the chest towards the left fingers. Now take a bind, bringing the left hand to the lower back. Either palm faces up or bring it towards the right hip. You're welcome to stay here. I'll start a little twist in the chest, looking up over the left shoulder towards the ceiling. You may need to karate chop the ground with the right hand, with the thumb pointing up. Keep the direction of the chest reaching towards the top left corner of the mat. And then release, bringing the arms back to the center. As you inhale, lift up for a tabletop, and let's do it on the left side. So really turning on the right glute, right tricep. Keep the spine neutral. Bring the left knee to the left arm. Open the left knee for the fire hydrant. Lift the knee up, keep the knee open, the foot lifted. Now close the knee towards the ground, foot still lifted. Left knee to left tricep. Left knee opens. Left foot lifts, open the knee still. Now close the knee, pelvis square to the ground. Bring the knee in towards the tricep. Now let's reverse it. Lift the foot up to the sky. Open the knee, open to the side. The foot stays lifted. Now bring the knee in line with the hip. Knee to tricep. Last one. Lift the foot straight up. Really turn on the glute. Open the knee, keep the foot lifted. And now bring the knee out in line with the hip. Knee to tricep. And lower the knee to the ground, big toes together, knees wide, again for child's pose. And open the knees as wide as you need, keep the spine reaching forwards, the palms pressed down. Breathing so deep that the stomach presses to the inner thighs as you inhale, and it contracts in as you exhale. As you now bring the arms as far to the right as they can go, press the hips back and down towards the left heel. So keeping the entire torso reaching over to the right side. And then moving into the bind, this time the right hand to the lower back. Left arm keeps reaching over to the right. And again, if you need to turn the left thumb to face up to the ceiling, you can create a little twist, lifting the right shoulder, maybe looking up to the ceiling, over the right shoulder. Bring the head away from the left bicep, away from the ground. And then slowly release the right arm and bring the torso back to the center. As you inhale, lift up for tabletop again. And just like earlier, tuck your toes and hover the knees off the ground. Really containing the torso again. So feel the ribs connect to the pelvis as you very slowly begin to move to downward dog. 5, 4, 3, 2, hips high, 1, downward facing dog, hips pull up and back. And take any movement here that feels good. If you need to take a longer stance because it might be quite short, you can move the feet back, feet wider, maybe hands wider or more narrow, whatever feels best for your body. And any movements that feel good. And start to really lengthen the spine, pulling the thighs back away from the wrists and the ribs pull in. Turn on the quads and lifting the hamstrings up to the glutes. Bring the right knee into the right tricep and step the foot outside the right wrist. If you need blocks under the hands, please use them. And take a bit of movement, maybe making some circles or some cat and cow with the spine. And again, you can change where the palms are, flip the palms up, turn the fingers back, and release the left knee to the ground. Left palms on the ground or a block as you inhale, right hand to the sky. Reach the right hand back to grab your left foot for a quad stretch. If you need a strap for this, maybe putting a block under the left palm to give you a little bit more space. If you have the foot, kick back and pull the foot in, creating resistance. And the right knee hugs in towards the chest. And the chest stays long, releasing the foot with control. And then tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Again, option to put blocks under the hands. And straighten the front leg. Right hip pulls back. We'll move a little bit. Option to flex the right toes to the face. Bend the front knee. And again, straighten the front leg. Really pull the right hamstring back. Lift the front of the spine up. Bend the front knee. And straighten the front leg. One more time. Bend the front knee. The hips stay low. And step the left foot outside the left wrist. Frog squat. And the feet are as wide as they need to be for the heels to be on the ground. There's always the option to lift the hips higher, maybe widen the feet a little more as well. Bring the hands to heart and the elbows to the inner knees. Reach the right arm in front of the right shin, lift the left arm up to the sky, the option to look up. And keep the left knee pulling open, hands back to heart center. As you inhale, slowly begin to stand up, pulling the knees back, lifting from the glutes. Inhale, lift the arms all the way up to the sky. And exhale, goalpost the arms, pull the elbows down to the outer side waist. Send the tailbone to the heels. Inhale, lift the arms straight back up. Exhale, hands to heart, Samasthiti to hip. And have the feet at a hip width position or bring the feet closer together or further apart, whatever feels more stable. Standing up nice and tall. Have the eyes open or closed. Really feel the crown of the head lift up. And bring the skull on top of the heel bones. And then open the eyes. Welcome to take Ujjayi breath. Inhale, lift the arms straight up to the sky, coming up onto the tiptoes. Keep the heels lifted. Exhale, hands to heart. Keep the inner arches lifted up. Again, inhale, arms lift straight up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. Front and back of the legs working together. Again, inhale, arms straight up to the sky. Keep the heels lifted, create a little bend of the knees, tip forwards and down into a forward fold. Heels to the ground. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, bring the arms behind the back, interlace the fingers. Remember which fingers are on top. Pull the front of the chest forwards, outer hips hug, hamstrings lift up to the glutes, bend the elbows and try and touch the inner elbow tips together. Inhale, bend the knees, chair pose, keep the bind. Point the kneecaps forward, slightly parting the knees. And pull the shoulder blades back and down again, that little bend of the elbows. As you inhale, stand up and lift the left leg, keep the bind of the hands. Little bend of the right knee. Exhale, bound aeroplane, tip forwards with the upper body, pulling the left leg back. And pull the outer right hip back. Slowly step the left toes down, release the hands, release the left knee down. Inhale, lift the arms straight up to the sky. Anytime you need to place any padding under the knee, you can. Exhale, goalpost the arms, elbows down, chest lifts. Inhale, arms back up. And exhale, hands to the ground or the blocks, tuck the back toes and lift the back knee. Inhale, right knee to nose, and then bring the shin to the ground for half pigeon, an active half pigeon. Let the shin stay exactly where it lands and walk the hands back, whether the hands are on the ground or the blocks. And start to pull the outer right hip back and the left hip forwards. Now really feeling the inner thighs scissor. Start to pull the front of the pelvis up to the rib cage, lifting up as high as you can, maybe the hands to heart or the hands up to the sky. Again, the outer hips are hugging like crazy to lift up. Exhale, release the palms down, tuck the back toes. Inhale, three-legged dog, right leg behind. You can stay here and just move the knee or the leg in circles in both directions. Or if you'd like to flip it into a flip dog or a wild thing, bring the right leg over to the left side. Lift the right hand, push the hips up, really pushing into the outer left foot, the right foot. And slowly bring yourself back to downward facing dog. Keep pulling the hips back away from the wrists, broaden the upper back, and push the forearms forwards. Bring the left knee to the left tricep, and bring it to the outer shoulder, stepping the foot outside the wrist. Again, taking a little bit of movement. Same thing, anytime you need the hands on blocks, please utilize them. Might be cat and cow, might be big circles. Move in both directions. You can always change the palms. Lower the right knee. Right hand can be on the ground or a block. Left hand lifts up to the sky. And left hand reaches back for the quad stretch, grabbing the right foot. And again, if you need a towel or a strap around the foot, but create resistance once you have the foot. Kick back and at the same time pull it in. The same thing, left knee pulls in towards the chest. Keep the front of the chest reaching forwards. With control, release the right foot to the ground. Left hand comes inside the left foot. Same option to use the blocks. And straighten the front leg, pulling the outer left hip back. And then bend the front knee, pull the chest forwards. And again, straighten the front leg, left toes can flex back, come high onto the right tiptoes. Bend the front knee. And again, straighten the front leg. Lift the front of the chest. Last time, bend the front knee, keep the hips nice and low. Now step the right foot outside the right block or right wrist. And again, frog squat, hands to heart. Lift up through the front of the spine. This time we'll bring the left hand in front of the left shin, right arm up to the sky, reaching open through the chest, option to look up again, pulling the right knee back, pushing the left arm into the left knee, and then bring the hands back to heart. Same thing, we'll slowly stand up, pulling the inner knees back. Use the glutes to lift the torso all the way up, arms lift straight to the sky. And the exhale, goalpost the arms and the tailbone down to the heels. Inhale, the arms lift straight back up to the sky. Exhale, Samasthiti. Again, hands to heart. Bring the feet where it feels good for the body. Nice and stable. Again, you can close the eyes, you can open the eyes, have a hazy gaze. Just bring yourself into focus of being present, of being here where you're standing. Inhale, lift the arms and the heels. Keep the heels lifted. And exhale, hands to heart. Again, inhale, lift the arms all the way up. Hug the outer ankles in, outer shins in. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time, inhale, arms lift all the way up. If you can, keep the heels lifted, create a little bend of the knees, tip forwards, lifting the hamstrings up to the glutes, and then lowering the heels, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway, lean forwards, and bring the arms behind you. This time, take the awkward grip of the fingers, swap each finger over, bending the elbows again. Keep lifting the hamstrings up, leaning forwards, collarbones wide, and pull the elbows in towards one another behind the back. And keep the bind, the kneecaps pointing forwards. Inhale, chair pose. Pull the shoulder blades back and down. Collarbones stay wide. Keep the knees pointed forwards. Now press into the left foot. As you inhale, stand up, lift the right leg. Toes can be flexed up or down. Keep the bind. Exhale, bound aeroplane. Pull the elbows back, reach the chest forwards. And then pull the outer left hip back, reaching the right leg all the way back until the toes come to the ground with control. Lower the knee, release the bind. Inhale, crescent moon, arms lift straight up. Hug the outer hips in. Exhale, goalpost the arms. Lift the chest up away from the pelvis. Inhale, arms lift again. And exhale, hands to the blocks or the ground. Lift the back knee. Pull the left knee into the chest and then bring the shin to the ground for half pigeon. Again, it's active, walking the hands back, whether they're on the ground, the fingertips or the blocks. Hug the outer left hip back, pull the right hamstring up, And start to scissor the inner legs, the outer hips into the midline to lift yourself up, whether you come up higher onto the fingertips on the blocks, or maybe the hands come to heart, or the hands can lift to the ceiling. The outer hips really work to stabilize. Use the legs to pull in towards the pelvis to lift all the way up. And then bring the hands either to the blocks or the ground, tuck the back toes. Lift the left foot up behind you, three-legged dog. Now we open the hip. Again, the same option, you can just stay here, you can take circles with the leg, make sure you move in both directions. You have the option to also flip it. Bring the left foot over to the right side. Reach the left hand up and back, pushing the hips up, pressing into the feet, and then taking your time, slowly bringing yourself back to a downward facing dog. Come up onto the tiptoes, look forwards, and jump or step into a frog squat, feet outside the wrists, hands to heart, elbows to knees. Lifting up through the front of the chest again, push the elbows back. And hug the glutes up to support you. Keep the front of the spine lifted, shoulder blades back and down. Exhale, forward fold. Turn the toes forwards, tip the pelvis up, release the head down. The weight comes forwards into the front of the shins. Let the head relax. Bring the feet closer towards one another. Inhale, chair pose, lift the arms straight up to the sky. Exhale, hands to hips, so a little bit different this time. Inhale, stand up and lift the left leg. On the exhale, without the pelvis moving, open the knee to the side, so keep the hips square forwards. Inhale, leg back to the center. Exhale, this time knee across the body without the pelvis moving. Keep it square. Inhale, center. Exhale, aeroplane pose. Hands can stay at the hips, come to heart, or even reach forwards. Creating that counterbalance as you slowly lower the left toes, bend the left knee. Inhale, crescent lunge, pelvis is upright. Exhale, low flying crescent, tip forwards, hug the right hip back. Bind the hands like before. Inhale, open up, warrior two, left toes turn in. As you bend the elbows, bring the fist to the left hip and pull the elbows back towards one another. Pelvis lifts up. Keep the bind. Inhale, reverse of the torso, track the right knee open. Exhale, side angle with the bind, right shoulder towards the right knee. Keep the bind again. Reverse triangle, straighten the front leg. Reach up and back, just with the torso. Release the bind. Exhale, low lunge. This time, inhale, standing splits. Left foot lifts straight up towards the sky. And exhale, left knee to left tricep. With control, step the foot outside the wrist. Right foot steps outside the right side. Frog squat. As you inhale, move into either a half or a full bind. Left arm up to the sky. So if you need the strap for the bind, grab it in the left hand. Bring the left hand to the right hip. The right arm comes in front of the right shin. You might grab the strap and walk the fingers towards one another, or grab the fingers. Pull the knees back and lift the chest up. And slowly release, releasing the arms, hands back to heart. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, forward fold. Tip the hips up, bring the feet in. Leaning forwards again, inhale, chair pose. Knees and lift the arms. Exhale, hands to the pelvis. As you stand up, inhale, lift the right leg, toes can flex up or down, pelvis stays square. Exhale, open the knee to the side without the pelvis moving. Inhale, knee back to the center. Exhale, knee across the body again, keep the pelvis square forwards. Inhale, knee to the center, and exhale, aeroplane pose. Right leg comes back, hands to the hips, the heart, or forwards. Keep reaching forwards to slow down the right toes coming to the ground behind you. Bend the right knee, inhale, crescent lunge. As you exhale, tip forwards into low flying crescent, arms back, straighten the back leg. Now bind the hands, the awkward grip. Keep the bind. Inhale, open the legs to warrior two, right toes angled in, left knee bent, tracking over the left middle toe. Bring the fist to the right hip and pull the elbows back behind you, tracking the left knee open. Keep that bind, pelvis pulls up. And with the bind, inhale, reverse the upper body. And exhale, side angle, keeping the bind, left shoulder towards the left knee, right shoulder back. Inhale, reverse triangle with the bind, straighten the front leg. And exhale, release the bind, hands to the front of the mat, low lunge. Lean forwards, inhale, standing splits, right leg lifts straight up. Exhale, right knee to the right shoulder. And then step the right foot outside the wrist, left foot outside the left. Sit the hips down, frog squat. And again, if you need the strap, this time bring it into the right hand. Reach the right arm to the sky, left arm in front of the left shin. Either stay here or take the half bind with the right hand to the left hip, or the full bind reaching the left arm in front of the shin, maybe grabbing the strap or the fingers, lifting the chest again, pull the right knee back, really lift the front of the spine up, and then slowly release, opening the arms wide first, and then the hands come back to heart. Take a full inhale breath, pull the knees back, and exhale, forward fold, tip the hips up and back, bring the feet in again. The feet about hip width or a little closer. Bend the knees, tip forwards. Let your head relax. Let the arms be heavy. As you bring the feet in, let's move into a little ball of squat and curl position. Coming onto the tiptoes. And stay up on the tiptoes as we inhale for chair pose. Pull the shins up. Find the strength in the ankles. And exhale, hands to the pelvis. As you inhale, stand up and lift the left leg. You can always stay up on the tiptoes. Exhale, aeroplane pose. Bring your leg back. Take a full inhale breath as you reach forwards. And exhale, toes to the ground. Bend the knee. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, tip forwards to low flying. Straighten the back leg. Pull the right hip back. Take the bind. Inhale, warrior two. Little different this time. Bring the hands to the left hip. Exhale, side angle pose. Press into the outer left foot. Inhale, reverse triangle with the bind, pull the elbows back. And exhale, release the hands, low lunge. Inhale, standing splits, left foot lifts. And again, left knee up into the outer left shoulder. Step the foot outside the wrist, sit the hips down, frog squat. Again, if you need the strap for the bind, please grab it. Moving into the pose. Left arm lifts up to the sky. Either stay here or go into the half or the full bind. Now again, you're welcome to stay here. We move towards a standing noose. Bring the left foot a little closer to the center and come up onto the right tiptoes. Keeping the bind, turn the left glute on and start to stand up. Lifting the right leg, toes will flex out to the side. Really hug the entire left leg towards the bone. Pull the shoulders back and really stand up tall, up through the crown. And keeping the bind, we'll slowly bring the right foot back down, step the left foot open, reversing all our steps, opening the arms, hands back to heart, take an inhale breath, and exhale, tip forwards into a forward fold, again bringing the feet in. And come to a little squat and curl on the tiptoes, rounding the spine. Again, we keep the heels lifted, hug the ankles, inhale, chair on the tiptoes. And exhale, hands to the pelvis. Inhale, stand up, lift the right leg. Same option to stay on the left tiptoes. Exhale, aeroplane. Right leg comes back, reach forwards with the torso. Take a full inhale breath. Exhale, right toes to the ground. Bend the right knee. Inhale, high lunge, crescent lunge. Exhale, low flying. Left hip hugs back. Take the bind, straighten the right leg. Keep the bind. Inhale, warrior two. Open up, bring the fist to the right hip. Exhale, side angle. Keep the bind again. Inhale, reverse triangle. Pull the elbows back. Straighten the left leg. Exhale, release the bind. Hands to the ground. Last side. Inhale, standing splits. Right leg lifts. Exhale, right knee to right tricep. Foot to the ground outside the mat. Bring the hips down, frog squat. Again, if you need the strap for the bind, you're always just welcome to stay in the frog squat. Take it as your practice. Right hand lifts up to the sky. And then let's go into the half or the full bind, with or without the strap. Right hand to the left hip, maybe the fingers grab, and you can stay here. Or we bring the right foot closer to the mat, keeping the bind. Come onto the left tiptoes, press into the right foot, turning the right glute on, starting to slowly stand up. Left toes will flex out to the side, right hip hugs like crazy. Lifting up all the way through the front of the spine, shoulder blades pull back and down. And again, we keep the bind. Slowly bring the left foot back to the ground, right foot outside the mat, release the hands back to heart. Last inhale here, lift the chest. As we exhale, slowly bring our bum to the ground. You might need to reach the arms forwards, take your time, until you come to a seated position. Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees wide. Please sit up on one of your props if you need to lift the pelvis up a little bit. Hands are either to the big toes or around the feet. As you tip the pelvis forwards, keeping the spine neutral, so don't let it round forwards. Lift the front of the spine, pull the shins up, breathe into the very low back. As you keep lengthening the chest forwards, inhale, sit back up, bring the knees towards one another. Place the blocks towards the back of the mat and slowly make your way onto your back. Full happy baby. Again, grab the big toes, the outer feet, the ankles. If the pelvis or head or anything lifts up, grab closer to the knees. Press the front of the pelvis forwards, collarbones wide, and then hug the knees into the chest. Let's take a reclined cow face, right knee on top of the left. Either grab the knees or just above the ankle joints, flexing the toes in, the heels push out to the side. Pull the shins away from one another. Let's move into the twist. Pelvis moves to the right, legs drop over to the left. You can always keep them wrapped and pull them up higher to the left elbow. There's option to put blocks under the legs or take a figure four if that feels better. Or just the right leg over to the left side, extending the left leg long. The head can turn in any direction. The arms can be where it feels best for the body. Continue to keep the front of the chest open. Think of the right hip rotating forwards towards the front of the mat or the front of the room. Keeping the right side waist from the underarm to the hip long. Inhale, bring the legs back to the center, unravel them, bring the pelvis back in line with the shoulders. And take the other side, left knee on top of the right. Supta Gomukhasana, reclined cow face. Again, you can grab the knees or grab just above the ankle joints, really flexing the toes in. If you have the ankles, pull the shins apart from one another, push the heels out to the side. Feel the collarbones wide, shoulders pull back towards the ground. And then we'll move into the twist to the right. So you can always bring the hips a little further over to the left-hand side. Let the knees drop over to the right. Again, please support the legs if you need to. Another option is to pull the knees up higher towards the right elbow, giving a little more space in the low spine. And figure four, a simple twist, is always an option as well. The arms can come wide or come onto the body. The head can turn in any direction that it feels good for the neck. Continue to breathe in and out here. Really just feeling where the body's at right now. Being aware. Any side, the right or the left, that you need to stay on a little longer, you can always pause the video and come back. As you're ready, bring the legs back to the center, pelvis back in line with the shoulders again. Take any final movements, final poses, anything else that feels good for the body. As we now move into our resting pose of Shavasana. Today I chose to put the blocks under the back of my knees and the blanket over my abdomen and my upper thighs. If you have a hand towel, you're welcome to place it over the eyes, the arms come wide, palms, if it's comfortable, for the shoulders face up. Allow your entire body to get as heavy as it possibly can. Just allow yourself to be here. Welcome to stay here as long as you like. When you're ready, begin to deepen your breath. Very slowly move your body, taking your time, transitioning back into this amazing day. Any movements that feel good, then you can roll onto the most comfortable side. Spending a few breaths there. As you're ready, begin to press yourself up to a seated position. You're welcome to sit up on your props. Eyes can be open or closed. Hands can be wherever they feel best, on the legs, in the lap or in the heart. Thank yourself for taking the time today, for doing something for yourself, for helping to create a gentleness, inner peace as you bring the hands through heart to the third eye. We bow in thanks. Namaste. Thank you again for spending time. I'm always here for any questions that you might have. Take your time transitioning into today. Have water. And please, have an amazing rest of your day, whatever you get up to. My name's MJ. I would love it if you could subscribe. If you know anyone that might benefit from this video, please share it with them. And I really hope to see you on this page again soon. Have a great day. Bye.